topic that chosen by us is lockdown impact on tourism sector. Before we start, I'm Nur Aisa binti Hafizan and here are my group members.
The COVID-19 pandemic began in Malaysia in the year 2020. On the 25th of January, 3 Chinese nationals had contracted the virus in Malaysia after travelling to Malaysia from Singapore. On the 4th of February, the first Malaysian contracted the virus and 2 days later, his sister contracted it as well. It was the first locally transmitted case recorded in Malaysia. By the end of January, Malaysia had to impose travelling bans to visitors from China and cancel its campaigns to promote tourism. Soon, the quick outspread of the virus due to a religious activity held in Kuala Lumpur resulted in Malaysia recording one of the highest cases in Southeast Asia. The movement control order started from the 18th of March, which was then extended to April. During that time, only one family member was permitted to go out and buy food.
I am going to talk about the challenges that arise from lockdown impact on tourism. The first one is demand decrease, operating cost increase. Based on the graph in the slide, we can see a downward trend in the tourist receipts in Malaysia, which explains a decrease in the percentage of international visitors. Tourist spending in the first half of the year was cut by more than half due to the spread of the COVID-19. According to Perimbanayagam 2020, Tourism's Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Seri Nancy Shukri claimed that the numbers dropped by 68.2% and 69.8% respectively from the same period the previous year. 45 billion Malaysian ringgit in tourist spending was lost in the first half of the year due to the outbreak of COVID-19. According to the Malaysian Association of Hotels (MAH), the table in the slide shows that the cancellations mainly centered on the entrance points of Malaysia, with Kuala Lumpur and Selangor collectively taking large numbers, while tourism destination that is popular among China citizens, such as Kota Kinabalu, Sabah and Langkawi Kedah, took a direct hit and fully lost all tourist arrivals from China. Transit destinations elsewhere also suffered, with the majority of Johor, Melaka and Perak's tourist arrivals being dropped. Cancellation were just the beginning of the situation, when hotels are also losing future demand, with the world being extremely cautious about travelling. Throughout April, May, June and even the third quarter of 2020, the market for hotels fell almost immediately. This decrease in demand contributes to revenue loss for hotels, while high operating costs are incurred. The second challenge is unemployment. The impacts of COVID-19 on Malaysia's economy can be seen via high unemployment rate. According to article written by Shankar 2020, the Statistics Department states that in 2019, the unemployment rate of Malaysia is 3.3%, which means there are 8,200 individuals unemployed. The COVID-19 pandemic has seriously impacted the Malaysian economy. This can be shown by comparing the unemployment rate in Malaysia. In January 2020, the unemployment rate is 3.2%, but there is a continuous increase until May 2020 and it reaches 5.3%. This is shown in the graph in the slide. This is not a good phenomenon because there is a negative trend in the labour demand.
Next challenges that Malaysia faces is by flight cancellation. Since the introduction of the Movement Control Order (MCO) on 18 March, airline companies nationwide have been forced to halt their operation and ground large part of their fleets. So, Malaysia's aviation industry is projected to lose 13 billion this year as air travel continues to face travel restrictions. This includes 10.9 billion loss from Malaysia-based airline, Malaysia Airlines Berhad, Air Asia Group Berhad, and Malindo Airways Sdn Berhad, and another 2.1 billion from airport operation including Malaysia Airport Holding Berhad (MAHB) and Senai Airport Terminal Service Sdn Berhad. In the July parliamentary season, it highlighted that cancellation flight from the 3 local carriers affected 4.316 million passengers, while another 1.211 million passengers postponed their flight. Additionally, some seat to 8000 passengers were also given refund worth 399 million. The last challenges that Malaysia face is GDP of tourism sector, which is comparison before and during lockdown. During pandemic, the national tourism industry recorded a positive tourist arrival growth of 4.8% for the January until May 2019 period, registering a total of 10,954,014 tourist arrival compared to 10,454,447 in the same period last year. The gross value add of tourism industry (GVETI) has recorded that the tourist industry contribute 15.2% to Malaysian GDP compared to 14.6% in 2019. In 2020, Malaysia recorded 4.3 million international arrival, a decrease of 83% compared to the previous year due to COVID-19. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, most international tourist arrival were from Europe country, which is 60%. While before pandemic, GDP of tourism sector shows normal situation, which is in stable economy norm.
How the company and government reduce loss in tourism industry after and during and after COVID is during COVID-19, tourism company have implemented wage cut and lay off the employee. During the COVID-19 season, the tourism sector suffered the most because due to the MCO. This sector was forced to close because tourists will be able to travel. As a result, many tourism businesses have decided to lay off workers because they are unable to pay their employees' salary due to large losses. For example, AirAsia, Malindo and Malaysia Airlines have cut wage and laid off some employees. This can be seen after AirAsia Berhad through its executive officer Tan Sri Story Fernandez has released a statement that they have laid off 10% of their 24,000 workers. Next is hotel industry serve hotel as quarantine accommodation. Hotel company have a lot of impact due to COVID-19 because many people have cancelled their reservation. So there are many hotels that take this to make their hotel as quarantine accommodation. This step was taken because this can cover and reduce the cost of losses experienced and is able to pay workers' salary. This is because even though the hotel does not accept customer, but it can generate profit from the customer who are quarantined at the hotel. For example, the hotel used as quarantine accommodation is Hilton Kuala Lumpur, Furama Bukit Bintang, Cosmo Hotel Kuala Lumpur and many more. This hotel will provide many facilities such as a room, food delivery, providing COVID tests and other facilities. Next is after COVID-19, the government introduced Pemerkasa program. Pemerkasa is a strategic program to empower the people and economy after COVID-19, and the government has reopened the tourism sector. The government has helped to redevelop the tourism sector to cover the losses suffered by the tourism sector by introducing the Pemerkasa program. In this program, it has been allocated to help the tourism industry to rebuild and then be able to reduce the losses experienced during COVID-19. For example, it is in the Pemerkasa program, it states that RM 3,000 is given one-off to the tourism agency that registered under MOTEC. This step was be taken by government to help to revive the tourism sector after COVID, as well as helping to reduce losses experienced by the travel agency.
The tourism industry in Malaysia was the biggest contributor, which was the third largest contributor to the economy of the country. According to UZER 2019, the gross value added of tourism industry has recorded that it has contributed 15.2% to Malaysia's GDP compared to 14.6% in 2019. The tourism sector is one of the largest employers in Malaysia, providing 3.1 million jobs or 9.5% of the total workforce. To conclude, the economic situation during the implementation of total lockdown has brought current impact and post-COVID impact, which determine that the tourism industry needs an immediate response and long-term recovery to save the business and for it to still sustain, as it is also the biggest contributor to the economy of Malaysia. It is also possible that tourism activities will take longer to restart. Regardless of whether they reopen, their operation will be under different rules, which illustrates that most of the tourism will digitize their business, like booking tickets or rooms online, payment using online banking, sanitizing regularly, and many other, which may increase their costs as they need to invest in security and software programs and also cleaning services. The pandemic may also affect the behavior of tourists, influencing the ability of domestic and international tourism to recover. In addition, even though the industry has recovered, the magnitude and scope of COVID-19 related effects on tourism and the economy make a speedy recovery very unlikely. Therefore, a massive strategy such as aggressive marketing and incentives from the government was a need to help the tourism industry recover from this outbreak.